There was a book written called Mating Intelligence Unleashed, and the researchers in the book focused on something that they refer to as status enhancement overspending. And it's become a real problem in the US because when you are trying to attract a female, and they focus specifically on males, which is a little unfortunate because, you know, with the changing dynamic of women in the workplace, I'd like to see if women do the same thing. But they do focus mostly on men, and they find that men will go out of their way to overspend. So they'll charge things on their credit card. They'll take the girl out to dinners that they can't afford. They'll buy her gifts that they can't afford. And they'll accumulate a massive amount of debt before they actually get engaged and before they actually get married. And then when they are married, it's like, boom.
This is now our debt.
This is our debt,
and
right?
she's like, why did you buy me all that stuff?
Yeah.
Right. And also there's, you know, this, I think a lot of women do expect like the overpriced wedding ring. Don't do it. Don't go into debt for a wedding ring. That's the worst possible thing you could do. Start off a marriage with a massive amount of debt.
Or
I'm a big
expensive
talker.
wedding at all.
Or an expensive wedding. I know.
Yeah.
And
like, what kind of gift is that to give to yourself?
I feel like there's a commercial that I heard on the radio the other day for some jeweler, some local jeweler, and if it was like, if you have to spend more than you can afford on a ring for her, she's not the one you should be marrying. And I was like,
a jeweler was saying that?
Yeah, because it was like a budget kind of jewelry.
Oh, okay. It wasn't like sales or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was like, wow, really?
Yeah, I love this. So my new favorite thing now, and all the TED Talks I've been watching, a lot of them are about this, but my new favorite thing is ways that the brain has not caught up to modern technology and like things like credit. Like no caveman was giving loans to other cavemen. Like I'm gonna get a bigger club on credit.
Yeah.
You didn't have that. And so it's so interesting to see like our social structures and our behaviors and all of that come up against like digital distractions and the drugs that we have free access to and things like credit cards. I think that it's awesome. Now, what's hard about this, I'll eventually get into a little anecdote about my dating life, but what's hard about this is I think we all understand this. Like everybody growing up in America knows that we've got this huge problem with personal credit, with the credit, like our own debt from credit cards, our student loan debt and everything. But it is so hard to lower your spending, and they get into that a bit in this Atlantic piece, because your spending is, in a lot of ways, correlated with the spending of your social group. And they don't want you to spend less just because you think you're being responsible. Like they still expect you to chip in and go out and all that stuff. And so it's easy to identify a problem like this and say, look, this could be doing long-term harm to your relationship and to yourself. But man, it's really hard to do anything about it.
It's true.
It's hard to find a solution to it because you're absolutely right. I think, especially in American culture, a lot of stuff is, tied to your status. So not only, you know, your relationship and love, all that other stuff, like throw that out of the equation, focus solely on other relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's family. You want to impress your family, so you want to buy the nice clothes, you want to buy the nice car. And
or
of
gifts
course,
for them.
Or gifts for them, exactly, that's a great example. And I mean, I always think about, you know, what Jenks says about how, you know, he'll hang out in Beverly Hills. You know, he can't afford to stay at those expensive Beverly Hills hotels.
Yeah.
But, you know, instead of wearing what he usually wears, which is like a pair of shorts and an oversized shirt, he'll go there. I'm making that up. I don't know what he usually wears. I don't know what he usually wears.
Jenks not here, go wild.
He's gonna be back tomorrow. It's also now.
Like he'll show up wearing like a coat, and that coat is like his shield, right?
Yeah.
It's like a status symbol.
Oh yeah, I see it all the time. Like you'll go to, you know, I live in Hollywood. I'll go to, in like Hollywood, like East Hollywood. Go to Beverly Hills, go to West Hollywood. You go to a nice dinner, maybe a work dinner. You're there because you're talking business about something, which is really tough in this industry. And you're waiting for the valet, you know, and the people you're meeting with get their Lexus and their BMW, and then I'm like, get my Yaris, like rolling on, you know.
It's a fine automobile. I don't know what you're worried about.
I know. And it's true, but I mean, I don't care enough to do anything about it, but a lot of people do, you know, and a lot of people kind of find their self-esteem comes from those places. Really sad. I have a friend who, when he was kind of in between jobs, he ended up doing some PA work, which doesn't pay very well, as anybody who's ever been a PA knows.
Oh, I've been a PA.
Yeah. And I remember him actually saying out loud, there was some girl he met, he had a crush on her, and we're like, ask her out. And he was like, I can't yet. I have to wait until I can afford to take her somewhere.
Yeah.
And he really wouldn't pursue a relationship because he didn't feel like he was going to be able to bring to the table what a man should bring to the table. It was a big pride issue for him, and I think a lot of guys struggle with that. And I think the reason, it's my last ramble, that this is probably more male-centric is because of what you said, this evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology view that historically men brought status and security to the relationship, and women brought beauty and fertility to the relationship.
Yep.
Exactly. And so that's why we see maybe some women will strategically exaggerate their reproductive fitness, as the article says, by wearing a lot of makeup or getting plastic surgery, and then the man doesn't realize it until too late, and maybe the men will overspend, and we won't realize it until too late.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's so, like, we're so used to this, I think men, even if we haven't thought about it, like the expectation that you should spend money and all that, just really briefly, the last relationship I was in, like, people who've been viewing might know
You've
this.
never been in a relationship.
Yeah, not really. This is made up, but it's going to be useful, I think, for this show.
I believe you.
Thank you. Yeah. So since I've been in LA, as you know, and I'll throw myself under the bus before you can, I've been commuting on just a scooter. I've owned motorcycles and scooters going back about 10 years. And so that's all I've had. I haven't had a car the entire time I've been here. So while I was dating her, I brought up the possibility, because I kind of wanted to just get a motorcycle. I was like, do you think I should get a car? And I was like, of course she's going to want to. And she said no. And at first I was like, is she lying to me? Because we expect that you're supposed to spend. And apparently she was genuine. And then she dumped me, so it doesn't really help me now.
Yeah, she was like, don't even bother getting the car.
Yeah, because we're not going to be together much longer.
It wasn't about the car, it was my numerous psychological problems. But also, really fast, 2 quick money tips. So one of the TED Talks I just watched showed that there's been numerous studies on this. The money that you spend on yourself does not generate nearly as much happiness as the money you spend on other people. So if you're going to waste all your money, spend it on friends and family and all that.
Hey, John.
I get you the mochaccino every once in a while. And also, so you talked about the people who love the car and they get their self-esteem from it and they want to look good for other people. Those people are fooling themselves. Like, because they buy it thinking, okay, other people are going to see it and they're going to be jealous of me. And they don't actually define that word. They use that word jealous as if that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But if you generate any feelings, which you won't, most people will not give a fuck what you drive.
They won't even notice.
But even if they notice, it'll be a negative emotional
true.
reaction,
That's
not a
true.
positive one.
So the one thing that I want to say about this is the only way to combat this issue is to make, like, I want a social movement where people say it's uncool to spend more than you have.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's uncool if you buy the insanely expensive car that's like putting you in debt.
You should come out. You should come out about it. I'm going to do that right now on TYT. I do not have student loan debt, but I am $12,000 in credit card debt. And
damn.
You don't have any student loan debt?
No student loan debt. That's all paid off. And my credit card is at a 4% APR, which is not terrible.
That's not
I've been
bad.
carrying it since I lived in New York when I was a graduate student and had to live beyond my means because I wasn't pulling in as much as I had to pay in rent. And I brought it down. I actually think I'm going to be able to pay it off this year with my financial planning.
Wow.
Yay. But that is my financial situation. Anybody who wants to date me knows that now.
All right. Dave Ramsey would be proud, Kara.
Yay.
You're battling that debt. I like it. John?
Oh, I have more debt than that. Not credit card debt, but I have a lot of debt.
All right. Well, that was a fun conversation.
There you
Love
go.
it.
Thanks, guys.